Fuck you, you creep. Please stop.
Jesus wept.
Now the sheriff, I got him.
I got plans for you. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
You don't know what death is.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Hey, this is Trevor with Blood, Guts, and B-Movie Trash Talk, and we watch and review movies that you do not have time for. Now, and as always, before we proceed and move on to anything, I always like to introduce the second half of this fantastic program. Steve, don't skimp on the sexy Norman. How's it going, Steve?
Hello. Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Not
Good.
too bad. Can't complain.
We got a Christmas treat for you this evening.
Yes, pretty excited. And before we move forward with that, we also have another fantastic individual on the show. His name...
Downtown Danny, don't skimp on the funky stuff.
Woo!
Vaselina from Selena Vasquez.
Yes, Danny is going to bless us with his presence. Definitely moving forward. Pretty excited about that. But Danny, let's pretend here that you're on some sort of dating show, and there's a really hot lady on the other side, and she wants to know everything about you.
Okay.
So, Danny, break it down. Who's Danny?
Danny is...
But don't waste too much of our time.
I am that weird individual behind door number 3 that no one ever picks.
The one that possibly kills people, kills small animals.
We'll leave that for other people to decide.
All right. Well, now that we've introduced this fine gentleman, Steve, what do we have in store for today?
We got something for you to cramp up your ass. So we're doing Krampus 2015.
Ooh.
And you might say to yourself,
What the fuck is going on?
2014 sexiest man alive. Steve, what are you talking about? Krampus is not a B movie. And I would say that's a good observation, theoretical listener at home. But we decided to do it anyway. $15 million budget. It's made $21.9 million so far. Danny thought it was all right.
I thought it was all right, but we'll get into that.
Before we get into much else, you want to say who it was directed by?
No, I'm going to leave that up to you, Steve, because I know that you're wearing his sweater as well, and I want you to...
We got Michael Dougherty.
Yeah.
Huh? Written...
Is it Dougherty or Daughtry?
I thought it was Dougherty.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like
There's
somewhere
three
in
different-
between all three of what we're saying. Right?
Yeah.
It was also written... it was co-written by him, Todd Casey, and a fella named Zach Shields.
Mm-hmm.
You'll remember Zach Shields from something else, I'm sure.
Maybe Danny does. Do you, Danny? I don't.
No.
Yeah.
But, now keep in mind, this is an object that doesn't exist. But if you had the back of, like, the box, or maybe the Blu-ray, or even the back of, like, the poster,
Mm-hmm.
what would it say?
That's a good call. Let's see here. I have a bootleg copy. While the holiday season represents the most magical time of the year, ancient European folklore warns of Krampus, a horned beast who punishes naughty children at Christmas. When dysfunctional family squabblings causes young Max, played by MJ, not M and J, EMJAY,
That's a
MJ
name.
Anthony, which is his real name, to lose his festive spirit, it unleashes the wrath of the fearsome demon. As Krampus lays siege to the Engel home, Mom, Toni Collette, and Pop, Adam Scott, and sister, Stephanie Levy, Owen, and brother must band together to save one...
Brother?
Yeah, it just says that. What kind of fucking back of the box is this?
Nonsense.
Yeah, and brother must band together to save one another from the monstrous fate.
So, pretty stuffed full of plot. Before we get into any sort of spoilers, guest, do you recommend this movie?
So, I do, because I found it to be very ridiculous and very tongue-in-cheek. Like, the cheese factor was over the top, and it was amazing because of that. Also, Todd Casey helped write this, and he did The Conjuring, so other than that, I don't know who Zach Shields is.
Somebody.
Steve?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I was a little disappointed. It wasn't as ridiculous as I hoped, but I'll get into that later. What about you?
Now I'm going to talk on your behalf. I think all of our ideas of ridiculous and over the top maybe is slightly different.
Oh, God, I love fucking banana honking.
But I agree. This movie was super, super hyped. And when that usually happens, it's very rare that it meets your expectations. I'm not saying that this movie's bad, because it's not. I definitely recommend to go and see it. But it's, I don't know, it's going to be a bit different than what you see in the previews. It is, like Danny said, it's very tongue-in-cheek. There are a lot of funny jokes and things in there. Ridiculous jokes at that. But it's not your typical over-the-top.
It's not your typical...
super over-the-top, like, horror movie.
It's not the movies that we usually do, and that's why it wasn't as ridiculous as we expected.
When we say over-the-top, like... What's a movie, Steve? That
nobody's wife got fucking mowed down with a lawnmower and then reconstructed and went out hooking.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what we mean over the top. It's more of a. This is a huge theatrical release, so it doesn't meet those over the top standards, but it's still pretty ridiculous.
Right. I think that's how you got to look at it, though. I mean, this was released in theaters, right? Most of the shit we do is not released in theaters. So for a movie with a $15 million budget, I would say this is as over the top as that can get. Sans Army of Darkness. Like, that's the only thing I can think of that actually got like a mainstream release that was more over the top than this.
Yeah. You're right. I can't think of really anything else that had a big release that was that ridiculous. Army of Darkness. Wow, that was ridiculous. And that had a big release.
Yeah. And that was also Universal, so there you go.
Yeah.
Well, how about if you're going to watch the movie and you haven't seen it yet, go watch that now. Because in 1 second, we're going to get into some spoilers.
Yeah, so we're going to start trashing that. So we'll take a quick break here and we'll be back.
Scream at us on Twitter at BMovieTrashTalk, at Trevor Turpin, and at Steve Norman. He's back. It's the terrorizing sequel to the film that shocked a nation by breaking all the rules. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. Santa's back, and he's mighty miffed at the naughty nun who drove his demented brother on a murderous rampage that made headlines across the country. Now, step by step, weapon by weapon, victim by victim, Santa's gonna finish what his brother started. So you better watch out. You better not pout, because Santa Claus is coming to your town, and he knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. Hold on tight for the sequel that'll chill you through your very soul. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
All right, we're back. And we're going to jump into the full review here. So like we had mentioned before the break, if you have not seen the movie and you wish to see it before we start spoiling the hell out of it, definitely press pause or stop this and go watch the fucking movie. But now we are going to review Krampus. Now, Steve, it looks like you're fiddling around over there.
You know it.
I'm very interested in what you're doing.
I got notes. I got all sorts of stuff. I'm wearing my long jacket.
You're wearing a pretty sweet jacket. It's a trick or treat hoodie.
Got my trick or treat hoodie.
It's got little Sam on it.
Yeah,
I like it. It's pretty fucking cool.
You know, I did decide to wear it because we were doing this.
Nice.
Although I didn't even put together the director. Look at me. I was just saving it to impress Trevor. I wanted to hear nice things because nobody says anything good about what I wear. Nobody appreciates them.
Is it
so this movie opens with a little bit of a scuffle.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really clear on what was going on, so I guess I'll just move right along from there. It's on December 22nd. You see an extended family get together to celebrate Christmas, and young Max, who's a little boy that looks very Jewish, even though apparently, according to the grandma, they're German or something, he writes a letter to Santa.
Uh-huh.
So from there, the families can't seem to get along. Like, he's got some extended family coming from out of town. Why don't you set the scene up, Danny V?
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. I mean, I personally like the fact that they set up. Usually, when you have movies, they go into the backstory, and it takes for fucking ever, right? With this, they literally gave you like 15 minutes of backstory, and that's all you needed just to see the interaction between the families. So you have one family. Again, you have the German grandmother, and then you have her kid, which is Adam Scott, and his wife, and then Max, their son, and all that. And then I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in the last season of Fargo. Her family comes over, and they're just a bunch of hillbilly rednecks.
They're the polar opposite. Adam Scott's family is a wealthy, I would say probably Democrat family, and then you have the lower. I'm not going to say lower end, but you have the complete opposite, the conservative, less money individual.
You have 2015 version of Cousin Eddie showing up.
That's exactly, yeah.
In the form of the whammy guy. And they just can't seem to get along. The girls look like boys. The fat little boys got weird lips. They got a baby involved.
He reminded me of Thurman Merman.
He was a less kissable Thurman. But, so those guys show up. They can't seem to get along. And Max gets really annoyed when his dude-looking cousin finds his letter to Santa and reads it out loud to make fun of him. And actually, in the letter, he's, like, feeling bad for their family.
And I think he's already at a point where he really doesn't believe in Santa.
He's on the borderline. I think
he's on the he's like teetering. He's teetering the fence, and his balls hurt.
Yeah,
he doesn't quite. He's not quite sure, but his grandma, I think, kind of talks him into writing the letter, and he finishes it, and then he's made a fool, right, Steve?
Yep.
So he's made a fool by his transgender cousins.
But then she actually looks the fool because he's like, please help them to not live such low life lives or whatever. I don't know exactly, but
well, and part of it was that he wanted their dad to stop wishing they were boys. That was the other part of it. That was
pretty good.
Oh, and he also wanted his family. He also wanted his family to be back to normal.
Yeah. Which is get rid of these dirtbags.
And they make there's a scene in this movie where Adam Scott and his wife finally get a brief moment together by themselves and wish that it was like it used to be, I guess. So there's a lot that needs to change.
From there, though, Max yells about hating his family and hating the way things are, and he takes his letter and he runs upstairs where he tears it up while he's crying, and he throws the pieces out the window. And as soon as he does that, what happens? Unexplained.
Gravity disappears.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shit hits the fan. Shit hits the fan the second he throws it out the window, and it's great.
Yep. Yeah, and so the letter swirls up in this snowstorm type thing, and in this cyclone type thing, and a snowstorm comes along and cuts the power and the cell phone service out of the town.
Yeah. They clearly have a contract with Cricket. Because
dude, T-Mobile too is pretty bad.
Yeah.
From there, they're technically upper class roughing it, and on December 23rd, Festivus, the family is stuck together without heater power, and Max becomes really worried about a random snowman that's shown up outside of his house. Danny, did you find that snowman as cute as Trevor did?
I don't know if I found it cute per se, but I'll definitely say that I enjoyed the set and costume design of this movie more than anything else.
The snowmen were pretty funny.
They're always creeping around.
They look like the special ed class went out and made them, like they're cute, but they were a little wonky.
Yeah, a little bit too much melty.
Yeah.
So the town is basically a ghost town, and you can't see anything living at all outside. until a DHL man shows up to deliver a package. During that time, they notice that there's a large sack filled with presents outside of their
big
door.
sack.
Yeah, just some random garbage bag full of shit.
Yeah, and this is where I think
it's a red felt sack that is just outside the door, and everyone's like, "Oh, I guess we'll bring that in."
Yeah. Instead, whenever I like felt looks nice, but if you see felt that you don't know where it belongs, are you touching that? Because I'm not. Like felt seems like it can conceal dirty easiest. Like, I'm not touching that.
yeah.
From there, though, the sister, whose name's Beth, she hasn't heard from her boyfriend since the night before's FaceTime session where he was going to put the hurt on a bong.
Yeah.
So she gains her parents' permission to walk to his house and check on him.
And have creepy, unprotected sex at the age of God knows what.
Yeah. They do let her go.
Which is ridiculous because it's like the worst storm I've ever seen, and I live in an area where it fucking snows a lot.
Well, he does live like a block away, but I mean, did you see the guy
4 blocks away? 4 blocks away. That was very important.
That's key. That's key. You see, Danny.
That's why we got you.
That's why Danny's here. It's not 1 block. It's not 2 blocks. It's fucking not 3 blocks. It's 4.
Okay, Danny, would you let your young daughter go visit the bong ripper?
I don't even let my cats outside, man.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
As Beth walks through the blizzard, she hears some sleigh bells and sees a massive horned thing on a rooftop. The horned figure chases her down, and she hides under the DHL van. And the creature circles the truck before vanishing, leaving a jack-in-the-box.
The creature was pulling like a 30 Days a Night kind of thing.
He was. And
he's jumping roof to roof.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Yeah.
And this was something after that scene where she's hiding that's on the trailer.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the more suspenseful scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
So,
and the DHL guy's still in the vehicle at this point.
Just frozen, dead.
Scared stiff, I guess we could say.
You and Danny were both in the same film class, right?
We had one film class like a long ass time ago, but
you guys want to get nerdy with the shot here?
The shock?
The shot.
Okay, why not?
Tell me some film stuff that I wouldn't know.
Some film things?
Film things that you would have noticed from this scene.
Let me think back. Bravo on the tons of fake snow, because I doubt this wasn't real snow. What do you got, Danny?
I mean, you got, a wide-angled lens kind of circling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look, Danny's pulling out the wide
This is
angle.
why I'm wearing that overcoat.
You got that wide-angled lens going down and just kind of like circling, just giving you her point of view while she's under the truck, watching the hooves step around, and then all of a sudden he's gone, but then poof, out of nowhere, you have that jack-in-the-box. And you never actually see what's inside it. And that was frustrating because in the trailer, it gave you a glimmer of something popping out of there, and then in the movie, you saw nothing.
Yeah, I think
you're right there. I think they did that to appeal to the people watching the trailer. But then again, as far as film talk's concerned, I think the less is better worked in this could have worked in this movie fairly well. But in this particular scene, I disagree because I wanted to see whatever popped out get her. But I like this because it's very close up and intimate under that under the truck, and there's so much suspense that's built up why this jack in the box is ticking and ticking, and it gets closer and closer to her face, and you see her reaction, and then it cuts.
Let me ask you guys a question. Both of you have played like video games that require some sort of hiding and finesse, right?
Definitely.
Right.
Okay. I'm terrible at these. For example, on the new Metal Gear game, I just hide and wait because I don't want to be seen, and I end up getting shot in the back. Which I feel like that's how this girl is. She waits and just sits there and stares at the thing.
Yeah.
Do you have maybe a different strategy for getting out of there, gained by
these
games?
I think that's a shitty place to be. Because hiding under...
Do you roll out and see that guy, or you take your chance
I'll
with the
tell you
jack in the
this
box?
right now. There's nothing fucking worse than like hiding under something and somebody grabs your feet. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. Like, he was going to yank her feet, pull her out. She's in a bad situation. but I feel that that's probably the best bad situation she could have been in. Because what else is she going to do? Run into the cold? And if she possibly gets away, she freezes to fucking death? Like, I don't know. Like,
how cold?
What do you think, Danny? That's pretty tough.
That's the thing. Like, where was she going to go? You had the DHL truck. You had the Krampus jumping from roof to roof, right? So where was she supposed to go? Like, that was the only place that she actually could have gone unless somehow she got in the truck, you know? But again...
Well, the problem is... Oh, hold on a second.
Well, then...
The problem is... Yeah. The problem is she doesn't live past this scene. So I'm just saying that was the best she could have done. I mean, that's what I would have done, probably. But
I think she's in panic mode. I mean, what else do you do? I mean,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Hide in one of the snowbanks?
You're fucking dude. You just saw some fucking huge ass creature.
You get weird with it. You're gonna die anyway.
Jumping roof to roof.
You just hang brain. You just hang brain and run.
Hang brain.
Oh god.
What are you, some kind of a fucking sick, demented pervert? Huh?
Let me ask you.
Well, we won't get into that. But I'm pretty sure she didn't have brain to hang.
Let me ask you a question before we continue. Do you guys think that, like, how cold do you think it was outside? This guy froze. Like, was that something somebody did to him, or is it like ungodly cold?
No, well, I think. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, go for it, Trevor.
I was just gonna say, like, did he really freeze to death? He looked like he was scared
to death. Icicles hanging off of his face.
Well, yeah, but like he was. I don't think he froze to death. I think that's just a I don't know. He was dead and a product of winter. Like it just he froze after he was dead. Like it looked like he was scared to death. Like
and then he froze all in like 10 minutes.
Dude, it's pretty fucking cold, I guess.
How cold is my question? That's all I want to know. How cold do you guys speculate?
Well, so I mean, they touch on that in like the next scene. They said it was sub-freezing, you know, and that's 4 minutes. They said, I think they said 4 minutes out there, and they were already getting frostbite in the next scene.
He does mention that. And another thing too is when when Adam Scott and
Whammy,
when they're outside trying to save their own lives. When they get back in their house, Adam Scott's beard is frozen. Like you can see like ice in his beard, so it's cold as shit.
I thought that was a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper in his beard because from his age,
he's mature.
He is acting too mature for my liking of Adam Scott. But after that, it starts getting dark, and the mom and dad worry about Beth. Mm-hmm. So the dad and Uncle Whammy decide to take the Jeep / Hummer that they call a truck. To go look for her, and while they're gone, the rest of the family hears strange noises on the roof.
Yeah. And it's probably just a squirrel, right, Steve?
It's just a squirrel.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I've had like something like that in between the ceiling of the house of my parents. We had like one of those push-up ceilings, you know, like...
Oh, and you found out it was a transient?
And there was something running around up there while I was trying to sleep, and I was like, what the fuck is that? But it sounded like a little animal capering around. So anyway, yeah, they while searching, Adam Scott and Whammy see these like goat-like hoof prints in the snow, and is this the point where they hear Beth screaming and run outside, and then Whammy's attacked and nearly dragged beneath the snow in a pretty action-packed scene?
Yeah, so they start hearing Beth screams from a distance, and they follow the screams, and this is where Adam Scott's character saves Whammy's life. Now,
how does he do it as a hot-blooded American named Danny Vasquez? How does he scare off this creature?
And you got what, the snow magically getting deeper and deeper as they're trying to go, and you got Whammy over here who's like trudging through the snow because he's what, like 300 pounds. Whammy! So he's having a hard time getting through there, and then all of a sudden this creature grabs him. Which again, I agree, less is more here. You never see this creature, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
but like it grabs him, and Adam Scott's only way of saving him is shooting him with what? I don't know guns. Was it a Magnum?
I was banking on the fact that you were a gun man.
Well,
no, God no, dude. I don't know.
It was very Tremors-esque.
He had a grown man's gun, is all we can figure out, because none of us know what it is.
But the whole time this happened throughout the film, like I couldn't stop thinking about Kevin Bacon and his fucking ugly face.
God, Kevin Bacon is the worst. As much as Adam Scott went to waste in this, I'm glad it wasn't Kevin Bacon. His fucking meth face.
Whatever, dude. They're making another Tremors show with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Well,
and Joe Dirt's dad.
Danny, where are we at with Tremors? Like, how many are there? How many are there?
6?
Yeah, there's a lot. I know one just barely
Did
came
any
out not
have
too
Kevin
long ago.
Bacon aside from one?
One
No.
and two.
Two didn't have him.
Oh, two didn't have him. Yeah, you're
two
right.
was just Joe Dirt's dad
Yeah.
being handsome.
Yeah, no, that guy has been in every Tremors movie.
Well, it's his meal
Even when
ticket.
they magically could fly.
Hey, guy's got to feed his family.
Guy
Yeah,
gotta
something.
eat.
The Nicolas
So-
Cage of Tremors.
Oh God. Let's reword that,
I would
Danny.
enjoy
Can
that.
Nicolas Cage be in Tremors?
I think it's likely he's in a lot of stuff, and I want to see him in more. Nick Cage and Gary Busey, baby.
Oh, God.
And just let him improvise the whole time.
So
And require Nicolas Cage wears a fucking basket of bees on his head the whole time.
Yeah.
the bees. After Adam Scott shoots at this thing,
Oh, yeah, back to the Krampus.
back to this treat. He shoots at it. Howard's leg gets all bloody. Who's Whammy? Whammy. And the Jeep has been totally destroyed.
It's a fucking Hummer, by the way.
Yeah, it's a Hummer.
I have Jeep/Hummer, but guess what? Even me calling it a Jeep is more accurate than them saying just truck. They're truck. I'm expecting a fucking Ford Super Duty when they go out there, and it's not. So it's been destroyed. And then they decide to go Halloween 4 on their asses and box themselves in and take shifts watching for the monsters. And what happens, like any fat, well-fed American, what happens when he's on his first shift?
Oh,
Trevor?
he falls asleep.
Exactly, he falls asleep.
Yeah, he gets
Well, yeah,
tired.
because it wasn't Adam Scott watching the house. It was frickin' Whammy.
Yep. You can't trust Whammy.
Yeah.
No.
Full moon butt. As the family sleeps in the living room, though, a hook with a ridiculous gingerbread man.
But we're skipping a part here. Granny, she does not hesitate to cover the importance of keeping the fire lit.
Oh yeah, she's like, we need to keep
Now-
this fire lit. Which that she leaves it at that though. She's like, we need to have this fire lit, but she doesn't
This is where
say.
she should have straight up
shoulda
came
come
out
up-
and said,
yeah.
if you don't leave this fire lit, there are going to be fucking monsters that come down
Right, but-
and feast upon your children.
She doesn't
Yeah, but
because
then you wouldn't
she
have a
waits.
movie.
I guess.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true.
We could just watch Krampus
That's very true.
fight Grandma. So the ridiculous gingerbread CGI man comes out of the fireplace, and the family fat kid wakes up, and he's like,
hungry.
I'm going to take a bite out of this. And
He's
so he starts
hungry.
eating him, and he gets wrapped up in a chain, drug up the chimney, waking up the goddamn family.
You know what was really funny? That mongoloid child with the big lips.
Weird lips. They're not
Yeah.
even just big, they're weird.
I loved the post-production they added to the sound of his mouth, because he never talked, but you could always hear shit like this.
The dry mouth.
Like the dry mouth and him just
Perpetual
like
dry mouth.
salivating over a gingerbread man that has a soul.
Does he? It's debatable.
No.
After this is when Grandma finally decides it's time to tell her her darkest secret. She was a whore. She goes on this rant about Krampus, the punisher of all who are bad around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And she admits that once she lost her luster for the holiday when she was young.
She paid for it.
Yeah, it paid for she. My memory's not what
But
it
she
used
was
to be.
also living in, I believe, what was the Great Depression, and then following
Yeah, it was
World
the
War II.
Holocaust, and
Yeah.
she was responsible for it.
So
'Cause she
yeah,
was
they didn't
German.
have the internet or even colored television.
Yeah, and so my memory is not what it used to be, but I think the entire world was destroyed. Or in this case,
I'm gonna go ahead and call you out there that the whole world was definitely not destroyed.
oh,
But
well, in that case, I think it was just drug into the underworld.
yeah, her parents and like the town, like the
Yeah,
townsfolk.
everybody but her.
Yeah,
They were
Yeah,
all
in her defense, the town was like stealing her bread. Her parents like ripped her doll, like weird. Yeah. Like as a 5-year-old kid, you're gonna be like, oh man, I wish everyone would leave me alone.
You're like, all I want is a piece of bread to eat so I don't die of fucking malnutrition.
So I hope my family dies.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
But going cinema nerd on this one, I love the fact that they switched over to the animation to tell the backstory. Like
that was good.
It was cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I thoroughly enjoyed that because it made it much more, I want to say moody. It made it a little darker. But I thought it was extremely well done the way that they did that to tell the backstory.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool as well. And I feel it was definitely probably a way for the film to save another $5 to $10 million.
Yeah, you don't make a $15 million blockbuster by just writing checks.
But I think this is a theme in this fine gentleman's movies, is that he likes to incorporate really interesting, whether it's illustration or weird ass illustration. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Danny. Like, it was illustrated in Krampus. It wasn't claymation, correct?
So that's the hard part, man. Like some
it's
of
like
it
a
was
mixture, right?
It's a mixture. So you have some of it which look like felt puppets almost. And then you had the rest of it which was like animated. And hell, it could have been CGI, but I think most of it was animated.
Yeah. I think I just love that. I think it's a clever theme that Daughtery uses to like help tell the story in transition. Because in like what's cool in Trick or Treat is that he uses like that comic book type.
Yeah, the comic book strips to transition between scenes. Yeah,
scenes and kind of give backstory or just like finish off a scene. Like it's awesome, and I hope he continues to do that in his movies.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Well, the way that they finish this tale is she was spared by the Krampus, and he left some sort of ornament that had his name etched on it.
Pretty rusty.
It was definitely used before.
Tetanus is the least of your worries during the World War II era in Germany.
I don't know. I haven't had a shot since I was a little kid, so I'm constantly in fear of tetanus. But
tetanus is scary shit, dude.
Yeah,
I've seen
You'll seize up.
I saw, I think, an Arthur episode that scared me.
Arthur.
Oh my god. Did you just go PBS on us?
You know it.
Hey, that's free television, Bob.
No, it's not. Jesus. They make you pay by watching those shitty drives.
And Wishbone.
Wishbone is tits. So they get this ornament. Dude. That was a good one.
Ghost Rider.
You know, all of their programming is pretty good.
It's actually decent.
I used to love it.
Until like 5 p.m. hits, and it's like a bunch of bullshit.
Dog shit.
Like adult stuff.
Well, then it turned into British television after that, and you're like, fuck this. I'm 12.
Spinal Tap's playing on with the puppets.
And every once in a while, you're blessed with Mr. Bean about 11 or 12 at night.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the good old days.
One thing about that ornament, it's something that he gives to you to sort of mock you, to remind you that this is what happens when you lose your Christmas spirit. We take everybody that you love, and you get a shitty, rusty ornament.
It's
fading back.
It's one of his bells.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, it's something. It's a bulletproof ornament. Fading back from the delusions of a what's it called?
Were you gonna say grandeur?
Fading back from the delusions of a dementia patient. We've got Adam Scott, who decides to run to the snowplow to make a path for the rest of the family.
This is a pretty solid plan that he puts together.
Yeah, and he's going to escape as Christmas-themed monsters start running amok upstairs with the Guy Girls, and they go upstairs in the attic because they swear they hear their cousin's voice.
Yes.
And Krampus comes down and
you're forgetting the most important part of why they were upstairs, because Aunt Dorothy clogged the crapper.
Oh yes,
that is a good point.
Oh, she looks like she takes a mean shit.
That is the woman from like, if you need a
husky
annoying lady, yep, she's your lady.
Yeah. Oh man,
Wasn't she from? God, I don't know why I know this, but
She was also in
what?
Mr. Deeds, wasn't she?
No, 2.5 Men.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Trevor said, but I could swear she was in Mr. Deeds too. If you need a fat, disgusting...
There's a movie I watched recently, an old movie, and she's in it. She's been around.
Yeah, well...
Edward Scissorhands, dude.
Oh,
Bam.
yeah. Yep. I just watched it. That's exactly what she's in. And she
Yeah.
looks fucking haggard as shit still.
If you need a fat lady that's going to give you the business and you can't afford Dolores Claiborne, this lady is your lady. So they're upstairs. A lot happens in that bit. They're getting ready to run out. Guy girls are upstairs facing the box monster that we finally get to see.
Which is pretty cool, by the way.
He's
I think
cool,
that's the
but
best monster.
He was really cool, but I thought, and did you guys think the same thing, that he looked a lot like either something I saw on the poster for the new Poltergeist or somewhere in there? I thought he
it
looked
is
a lot
Poltergeist, the new Poltergeist.
And
It's the
that's all
clown.
I could think of, and I was like,
It's
what
almost.
the fuck?
It's almost. I could see that.
It was
it's
identical minus the jaw thing.
Sure.
The raptor or the
mouth,
dinosaur that spits that.
The mouth. It reminded me more of the vampires in. Is it Blade?
30 Days a Night, maybe it is Blade,
Where their mouths.
Oh no,
open
it's
in the chin. Or is it Underworld?
No, I've never seen it.
It reminded me of, you only saw him for a brief second, but in Cabin in the Woods,
The mermaid.
no, not the mermaid, the ballerina dancer that had like nothing but rows of teeth for face. That's what that reminded me of.
The way its mouth opened, I swear, I don't know. I'll put
It's definitely.
I'll tweet a picture of what I'm talking about, but I think it's like a vampire. The way its mouth opened is just really fucking odd.
Yeah, and
it worked, man.
Dude, I liked it.
I wish that I could see more of that and more of Krampus because he looked pretty cool. So yeah, the monsters are running around everywhere. Most of them are pretty easy to deal with, I'd assume.
Evil toy robot.
Gingerbread man. We got a bunch of the gay brothers from Super Jail running around. So yeah, all this goes on, but mostly those little girls decide to be a hero when they hear that cousin's voice up there. So the family gets taken over at the snowplow after they make their run. Because they don't really get into too big of an altercation upstairs, right? Like, does anybody die?
It's pretty big.
No. Well, does anybody die?
Yeah, they
think
don't
about
die,
it.
but a few of the kids are taken.
Yeah.
One of them spared. One of the Thurman mermaids are spared.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
the aunt gets like her arm like pretty much like bitten off. You have the mom who almost gets hung by that weird, creepy angel doll thing, like the tree topper angel. You have Adam Scott who's getting like stabbed to death by the robot, and then you have the super creepy, sluggy Jack in the Box thing that ends up like squirming away down like the vent.
He
You're
goes
right.
in the vent, and then they stick the family dog after him, and he breaks through the ceiling.
Yeah.
You're right. Nothing happens. So I can't believe I forgot that. So they run to the snowplow. The remaining members. The family gets taken over the snowplow, and
It's a bad idea. It sounded like a great idea, and as soon as they get out there, they're being picked off one by one.
It seemed
It's
like a good
bad.
idea, but it turns out it was terrible.
The snake.
You gotta remember why they end up making their way out to the snowplow too.
Because
the elves come in, which by the way, by
And
far,
steal everybody.
like the coolest part of the coolest scene in the entire movie for me was when they break into, like, all the elves break into the living room, like from a set design, costume design, everything, like, and feel. That was the coolest part to me. Like all the pagan symbols on the mask and everything. I thought that was probably the coolest. But
Yeah, that was.
they come in, they steal the they hook up the Jack in the Box creature so they can take him out and like save him. They end up stealing the baby, which has been like neglected the entire movie.
Yeah,
It's because he's fat.
Yeah, they take Aunt Dorothy.
Which she doesn't give two fucks. She's excited to go.
Yeah, she's pretty
She's had
much
her
just
nog.
like, oh, I mean, think about it. And she, at what point she goes, "We're fucked," and then she says, what was it? I live long enough to know when the world's coming at you with its pants down.
Yeah,
God, that's classic Aunt Dorothy.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, that's why they say, fuck it, we got to go out there. Oh, and Uncle Whammy here gets taken along for the ride, too. So, like, they...
But
and
they
like,
have
in one scene, they get rid of everyone, and Umi stays behind to, like, take on the Krampus by herself.
Yeah, so she pretends to walk outside, and then once everybody's out, she says, nope, steps back into the house, locks the door.
Did you guys get the idea that she thought, like, I can deal with this? Because I've seen him before.
Oh, she had no idea what she was...
Did you think that, though? Or did you think, like, she was just like, whatever, I'm just going to die. I'm going to go out
I don't know.
Badass.
Maybe she thought she could do something, but if anything, she was just going to stall him. I mean, she was, ancient? So...
She was pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she was just tired of shitting her pants and forgetting who she was. That she just wanted to move on. But I think it was that part with the elves and everything like that, and they haul out the obese Jack-in-the-Box full of children. I don't know. It was a bit rushed to me. I felt like
rushed.
I felt like the movie, like the action didn't happen till later on in the movie. That they're like, okay, well, we need to get rid of everybody. So,
I love that.
It wasn't bad, but I felt that it was definitely like, oh, well, we need to get rid of a bunch of people rather than picking these people off one by one.
I agree, because I feel like the movie, while it was paced so I didn't get bored, it did feel like it was paced in a way to where they waited a long time to do something. Like, I mean, things were happening, I wasn't bored, but at the end they're like, oh, we got 1 million people, and it's not scary when everybody's standing around, so we got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And I think this is just me. Like, this is my own personal theory behind it, but I loved it for that reason, because you're like, holy shit, almost everyone's living. Like, people are going to get out of there. It gives you kind of like that false sense of hope. And then he literally just comes through and says, fuck it, and then takes out everyone in like a 5-minute period. Like, it didn't matter what was going on there. He took out like 5 people in the house, and then on the way to the Hummer there, or the snowplow, like, he just, like, one by one took everyone out in, like, a 15, 20-second intervals. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. It just started ramping up all of a sudden.
I think it can be good and bad. It really depends on what your expectations are.
Yeah,
you know, if you're going into this movie thinking this is going to be like a true horror film and that people are going to fucking die and you're going to see these...
You don't see a lot of gruesome anything.
No, it's PG-13. And like I was telling Steve earlier, I didn't know it was PG-13 till a couple weeks before.
I didn't know it till Trevor told me an hour ago.
So, I mean, if you go into it expecting it's going to be, I don't know, with no expectations, I agree, Danny. Like, I think that's pretty cool because it just shows how powerful and unstoppable this force is. But also, like, if you're expecting to see people picked off one by one throughout the movie and kind of build suspense up to the main protagonist, Krampus, you're not going to like it too much.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot.
Yeah. But
yeah, I can definitely get that.
Yeah.
So when the family does get finally taken over completely at the snowplow, Krampus shows up and he gives Max that bell ornament thing. Mm-hmm. And it's got his name on it. And it's wrapped up in his shredded Santa Claus letter that he tore up. And suddenly, it becomes clear why he showed up.
Oh, yeah. Max fucking screwed his family.
It's because he cried on the letter. That's what always causes
he smeared the ink.
Yeah, so Krampus goes to leave.
Tears.
Yeah. Krampus goes to leave, and Max is like, no, and he runs over to him, and he starts yelling at him, telling him he needs to fix it, and...
you're forgetting the best line, dude. You got an 8-year-old kid screaming, "Hey, asshole!"
Yeah, that's true.
My dad would have whooped my ass if I said something like that, even if he was in the bowels of hell.
That's the part. That's the best part, though. You have all these creatures, right? You have the Krampus. You have all these dark elves and everything, and he just screams, "Hey, asshole!" and everyone just stops and is like, "Oh,
what?
There's an 8-year-old boy screaming at us."
And he throws the ornament, and it hits him in the back or something, doesn't it?
This kid doesn't fuck around.
No. And, so he tells him that they need to trade, and he wants his family back in exchange for him. Because, you know, he's a little kid, and when you're a little kid, you're like...
You have dreams. You have hopes.
Well, and more specifically, you think, like, at our age, it's like, you know, somebody's hungry and you don't get the last piece of pizza you offer to them, you know, if they're at your house, like,
Sure.
and it's just something you do. But back then you're like, it's an effort and you just want recognition for being like, this is what's right. So give my family back and me. And he's hoping that somebody be like, no, take the last piece, kid, you know, but instead he's like, okay. And, it doesn't look like he's going to play fair and he's going to take him with him.
Yeah.
We know better. But we'll save that for just a minute.
Well, we need to go back 2 seconds, too. So when we were talking about how they were picking everyone off there, literally in that scene, the second they get out of the house and they're walking up to the snowplow, like Adam Scott starts shooting at that creature under the snow that took Uncle Whammy
and he runs
first
out
bit
of
him.
ammo.
And he runs out of ammo, so it takes him. Then it takes his mom. Then it takes the aunt. Then it takes his cousin. Or the aunts, the elves take the cousin. And then they just leave him there, and the Krampus is like, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It like winks at him, too.
Well, this is where...
Shows off his old man teeth.
Yeah, and you don't get to really see Krampus.
But you see that he's got kind of a human face.
You don't get... Well, this is my question with that, is you don't get to see him till the end of this. You know the elves are wearing like those wooden masks with like the pagan symbols and stuff on there. When you finally get to see Krampus's face, you can see his tongue and everything, but his face has no movement whatsoever. You can see his eyes.
It was like he was wearing somebody's face.
I think he was wearing like a mask.
Like wearing Santa Claus's face.
Yeah, they're like, do you think he was wearing a mask, Danny, or do you think that was just like poor special effects?
No, I mean, that was the other thing, too. So this movie was, what, like 90% practical effects? And I think that's one of the reasons it was so effective.
Yeah,
but like,
I agree.
Like, other than his tongue in the one scene with Umi, and then his eyes in that scene with Max there when he like looks him straight in the eyes, like other than that, the Krampus was 100% practical effects. So I think that was just his face. I don't think that was supposed to be a mask.
Now, I don't mean to correct you, Danny, but since you're being the details man today, it's my time to shine. It's pronounced Omi. You can fuck off.
But that's a good thing to observe, because to me, when I finally saw his face when Max approaches him and they start bumping chests, like I felt like
touching tips.
Jesus Christ, like that has to be a mask, because if it's not, like
he's had a stroke.
Fake as shit.
He's had a stroke or something.
But the thing is I don't know, like I love practical effects, and I'm gonna accept it as a mask.
I just thought
because I can't just see that being a goddamn real face.
I saw it as like it was creepy because it's so much like a human face, but it's not, and that's the most creepy stuff, is when something's so close to human but without being exactly human.
But then again, and this is what I thought after watching it, because that's all I could think about was his face. I'm like, there's something weird. He's supposed to be Santa Claus's shadow, right? Mm-hmm. So
he has horns for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, that kind of explained the whole emotionless, still stuck face. Like he's just the shadow. Like this. I don't know. Like maybe it's not supposed to move for that reason. I don't know.
Maybe we save this until we get into the villain.
Okay, we can do that. It's a good call.
Yeah. So after that whole thing, we got the fire pit in the street. Tosses Max in. Then we cut to the next scene where Max wakes up on Christmas morning and sees that everything's normal and his family's fine. And then before I go any further, I know that Danny's thinking about, it's bothering him that I didn't mention that he flips over the calendar thing and shows that it's Christmas on his wall, right?
Well, no, you got to remember. So he literally is like, oh yeah, we'll give you your family back. And then he's like, JK, and then they throw his cousin into hell.
Yeah, he grabs the kid by the dome, and he picks him up, throws him in the bowels of hell.
And then he throws him into hell, and then he wakes up. But yeah, that was the best part. That was, they transitioned every day by opening a door on the advent calendar.
Yeah.
Sure, which was clever.
It didn't have chocolate, though, so
it just had
scratch
candy
against
corn.
Advent. We can't all be winners, kid. Yeah, so the next day, Danny just described probably the second best part of the movie, and I'm glad he caught himself, because towards the end of this part is, I think, the best part. He sees that everything's fine. Everything's back to normal, but he opens up his present. What does he find?
What does he find?
Oh, are you asking me? Yeah. Well, I mean, so he goes downstairs and everything's fine, right? And he's like, oh, it was just a dream. There were no snowmen outside, no nothing. The family's acting like super normal. Well, it's weird because like his redneck cousins are even like, oh, we thought the sugar plum fairies got you.
There's slightly less
they no
boys.
longer watch Fox. They now watch CNN.
Yeah, they switched from Fox to CBS or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so everyone's like going around and having a good time, and then he opens his gift, and everyone's like, I don't know where it came from. And he opens it, and it's the Krampus bell. And everyone goes dead silent, and they just kind of look at each other. And
I think they all start recalling this dream.
They remember what the hell happened.
Yeah.
I felt like.
Same here, that's what I got.
Yeah, well, so yeah, I mean, you got a couple of interpretations, right? But that's not the end of the scene. Then it zooms out. And the Krampus is holding them in a snow globe, and in the snow globes, all of a sudden, like, I think that's probably his lair, and there are snow globes everywhere. But one cool little tidbit for anyone watching: the second they zoom out, 2 snow globes over, Bates Motel. Fun little fact.
Hey,
yeah, psycho throwback.
I didn't notice that. Fuck me.
But yeah,
so
I mean, they zoom out.
To watch this movie again, Danny, next year.
They're gonna love me. Get them some ticket sales. No, so it zooms out, and then you're just like, oh, okay, I guess everyone's in hell. And then they give you one last shock thing where all the little demons pop out on the screen again, end scene, right? But
they scare the cameraman.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you guys though interpret that? So you're saying you thought like everyone had the same dream, or how did you guys interpret that?
It was like deja vu. Like all of a sudden they get the eerie feeling after seeing that bell. Like they may not necessarily know, but they're all aware that
it happened.
Yeah, that something that's not right and something had happened.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
That's what I thought. I thought that it definitely all happened. He gave them all back, and when they forgot all about it though, but when they saw the bell, they're like, oh shit! Like when you
it's because they're living in this world where they have to continuously relive Christmas.
What?
Like they're in a fucking snow globe. What's a snow globe do? You turn upside down. It snows.
That's what I'm saying though. So like
that
I kind of took that. I took that as two. You can take it one of two ways. At least I did. So you can use it because how many snow globes were there, right? You could say that the snow globes were the Krampus's like portal into each and every one's like little worlds kind of thing.
So he's able to monitor them?
Yeah, so he's able to monitor and watch them because he's Santa Claus's shadow, right? He knows when people are being shitty.
I didn't see a Groundhog Day thing. I saw it as he's monitoring them.
Right, that's how I saw it, was that the snow globes are like, I'm going to keep watching you, because if it were a Groundhog's Day kind of thing, wouldn't they be reliving the 22nd when they all got there?
That's what I think.
Yeah, so I agree with you. You can take it either way. Either those globes are his portal, or they're his fucking collection of the bad people.
Yeah, and they're trapped forever.
And because they don't appreciate Christmas, he's going to make sure that they live Christmas every fucking day.
Yeah, or
so I mean, you can choose either.
They could be people on his radar that he's watching now just because they didn't want Christmas.
But it just seems so awkward. Like, I don't know if, to me, like, I want to believe that it is his portal, but then again, I don't, because the family was way too nice. It was too surreal. That scene was too surreal for it to be just, oh, it's Christmas Day, everybody loves everybody after this terrible event we had at dinner. Like, it just seemed, and once they all remembered that bell, it just seemed a little surreal.
Well, and I think
it was
that's
still kind of a dream.
That was definitely the best part of the movie, though.
I think that was what Dougherty was kind of doing, though. He kind of like, he took everything away from you, gave it back for like a brief second, and then was just like, nope, gonna leave this up for interpretation and screw with everyone's minds, and took it all back again.
That's a good call, yeah.
I was getting ready to be like, fuck this movie. If it was just some dream and didn't ever happen, I was like, you gonna nightmare me again?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, I was pissed too. When he just woke up in a dream, I'm like, you gotta be fucking
I was like,
kidding
I'm
me.
gonna wait because I know it's over.
Yeah.
But in 1 minute, I might be pretty annoyed.
Yeah. And then that happened. That totally fixed it for
Yep.
me.
And then I got to see his weird fingers again, which I always like. They're like the Grinch.
Yeah.
So with
It reminded
Did anyone
me of,
else?
it reminded
speaking
me
of
of
his
Mother
fingers-
from Dead Alive.
oh yeah,
Mother.
Oh. See, I was
What
going
did
to
you
say, speaking of his fingers, did anyone else catch the Pumpkinhead vibe?
the what?
When he was like, when he reaches out to,
Oh, yeah, I did.
to Omi, and she like looks to the side, and you just see the fingers coming at her.
Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That was totally Pumpkinhead, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, Trevor,
Yes.
Danny,
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like this movie if you like old women that speak German nonstop when they can clearly speak English. The act of ornament giving. Fat kids turned into snowmen. Gingerbread men fights. And what appears to be a Jewish family pretending to be German. So if you like any of those things, you'll like this movie. With that being said, why don't we get into what we think? Now, normally, the way we gauge B movies is 1 being the best a B movie could get, 5 being an all-out dumpster fire. 1 dumpster is the best, I said. This isn't
It's the most
exactly a B
tolerable
movie.
dumpster fire. Only
Right.
one.
Exactly, yeah. So, with that being said, there's no sense in changing up the rating system
No.
because, let's face it, that's what people are coming for. So, since you're our guest, why don't you give us your rating? And just before you do that, though, why don't you tell me what you thought about the villain? If you can remember the score at all, which you might be able to, but I sure couldn't. And then give me your rating.
Well, I don't know. I thought, again, I'm a big fan of like practical effects and everything, right? So combined with the score, which I thought was actually pretty well done, usually sound editing can make or break a film.
Are you, to cut you off really fast, are you able to hum anything from the score for me to remember it?
No, that's the thing. I can't.
I think it was more like ominous, like weird
Yeah.
kind of, and
I think-
Give me one.
think-
Like what happened? Like,
Yeah.
like what?
That's the thing. Like, so with scores, I don't know, for me, at least, I only saw it once, right? So if there was something terrible, I'd be like, God, remember that time that this happened?
But the
I can't-
guitar started playing?
Yeah. All of a sudden there's like a fucking guitar solo in the middle of nowhere. No. Like no, like I can't recall anything from the music that drew away from it, and that's how I'm determining it to be well done for the time being. Now if I go back and watch it and I'm like, oh shit, this is terrible, then yeah, we can address that later.
Or let me rephrase that. If you want to go out and go to waxwork.com, you can buy the vinyl soundtrack for it now.
You can.
This?
Take it. Yeah, it's already out, and you can listen to it.
Are we sure that there was any kind of score?
Well, there wasn't any definite, like, it wasn't like there was a Halloween
I don't
theme,
remember
like
hearing
Michael
any
Myers
noises.
theme.
I don't
But
remember hearing anything.
they used ominous sounds and they used Christmas carols with like
Yeah, so
minor,
they
with like
opened
minor
it up.
notes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they opened it up with it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Well, that's a must. What did you think of the Krampus? What did you think he looked like? Do you think he was cool?
So I think, again, overall design, fantastic. The face, I thought they might have, it's his own interpretation of it, right? Because sometimes you look at like old pictures or like old drawings of the Krampus, and it's like sometimes he's red, sometimes he's black, sometimes he's a solid like goat figure with horns, sometimes he's like half man, half goat. I think it just depends on like what pictures you're looking at. So I mean, based off that, he went on his own thing with the face. So it is what it is. I thought overall he looked great. The face left a little bit to be desired.
Got you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What did you think about those two things, Trevor?
Well, I agree with Danny. The score, it didn't take me out of the movie to say, oh Jesus, that was terrible. I mean, it worked, but there was nothing that really, I don't know, there was no defined theme or melody that would make it something like the Halloween melody, like you're going to remember it forever, but it worked for the movie. As far as the villain and villains are concerned, Krampus was pretty badass. He was scary. He wasn't the traditional Krampus you see in photos and pictures and things like that. He was pretty creepy. The other villains, the Gingerbread Man, they were okay. I think it was like the comedy relief character. I think they were just kind of funny, and they weren't the most violent, but they were fun. I think the oversized obese Jack in the Box was my favorite. He was fucking creepy.
Yeah, that was cool.
I really liked that. I thought it was kind of an original thing. He was the one that was harvesting the children, which was pretty cool. But overall, I think the only thing I don't like about the villain Krampus was his face. I think it was lacking a little bit. It was just, once they put light on his face, it was just still, and there wasn't much there. But other than that, they're pretty awesome. How about you, Steve?
Oh, I don't remember any music, so moving along to the Krampus, I thought that he looked pretty cool. I expected him to be a furry beast. When he wasn't a Yeti, I decided that I was quickly shifting gears on what I thought as it was showing him, because I expected him to be some kind of monster.
Yeah.
And I thought the face was cool. Like, it was very expressionless, which was everything that was right with the Michael Myers mask. And
William
it was
Shatner's
just sitting,
face.
Yeah. Yep.
How cool would it have been if it showed Krampus's face and it was Tony Danza?
That'd be great. He's the boss.
Yeah.
I liked that it showed his old teeth that are just human teeth.
Yeah.
And he had a sort of weird tongue and kind of long extremities. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked his look. My favorite was my other favorite was the long Jack in the Box type thing, and the other ones were pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But not ridiculous enough for me to like love them. So yeah, now with the dumpsters.
Yes.
And remember, Danny, 1's the best, 5's a dumpster fire. What do you think?
Yeah. Again, you got to look at this from a traditional B movie standpoint, right? So normally, if we were to see something like this and it came straight to video, we'd be like, "Holy shit! Like this is so weird that this went straight to video." So I mean, I would probably have to say, just based on production value alone, and again, like the look and feel of the Krampus, he was a big badass. Like, I loved that he was super over exaggerated, and again, I love the fact that they were like, "We're gonna give you hope," and then they took it all away, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna give you hope again," and then they took it all away. Like, I
watch
love that.
us crush children's dreams.
Yeah, it was literally like, "Oh, don't worry, audience, they're okay. JK, fuck everyone." Like, based on that alone, I'd probably give it 1 dumpster.
Hey,
Wow. Nice.
Trevor, what do you think?
Now, Steve and I always talk about how it just needs to entertain us.
Yep.
Does it entertain us? Is it a piece of shit?
Are we entertained?
Are we entertained?
We're entertained.
Are we
but
entertained?
Let me speak. Let me speak for you on this, Trevor.
Okay.
I feel like we're entertained, but there wasn't enough penis honking. Am I wrong?
So, but we got to look at it in this way, that it was a huge theatrical release. So
was Leprechaun, baby.
So there can't be any blatant penis honking.
Swinging out of the drawer, honking.
Yeah. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a 2.3.
Hey,
5
fractions, baby.
Yes. The reason
Oh,
I give
boy.
it, so I get, which is still a pretty
above
fucking
average.
good rating. Yeah, this is above average rating. I really like this director. I think he makes fantastic movies, and I think his goal is to make a movie that you can watch every year around that season. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 now. I think I could successfully add this to the list for Christmas movies, along with Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah.
Which, yes, don't fucking judge me. I
Oh,
don't
dude.
love Goldberg, but
Santa
I love
Slay
Santa
is
Slay.
one of the ultimate.
Dude, it's great. But
Oh boy.
That's some smut.
yeah, that's that's some smut. That's a good fuck picture. No, but I think it was a decent film. The only thing I found that lacked a bit was Adam Scott's sarcasm.
Oh, dude,
It wasn't there as much as the other movies he's been in. And two, I think I would have loved to see a few more people picked off by the creatures before they just
by Krampus doing something to him.
dropped the ball and like invaded the home and stole everybody.
I think that's the best thing though. I mean, the Krampus was just like kind of the overseer, right? So he's just like.
But I mean, how the legend of Krampus is old. Like they have to have tricks up their sleeve. Like, and you don't really see that. Like they try to get in the house and they fail, and then at the end they just bombard it. I would have loved to see like little traps in the house and pulling them through the windows and.
Well, yeah, so they did though, right? The felt bag, that was a trap. They literally were like, oh, okay, and they brought all those things inside the house on their own free will.
Sure, in one scene. So
Yeah.
like what
Yeah,
I wanted,
it did sort of
what I
rough it
wanted
up.
to see is, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but what would have given a higher rating for me is to see a few more people picked off
Gotcha.
by the time that scene came up, because
Okay,
literally
yeah.
you're only missing like 2 people by the time this happens, 2 or 3 people when there's a house of 12. So it's like, yeah, I would have just loved to see the other sub characters like the gingerbread man and the evil teddy bear and the Christmas tree angel and all those guys get their fair share of screen time rather than just one scene.
Yeah, I can get that.
Can you dig it?
It's not bad. Like I'm giving it a 2.3, which is pretty fucking good, and it's something that I would recommend. It's something that I'll probably watch every Christmas because it's fun. And what more can you? I mean, you really can't ask for more crazy over the top gore and things because of the rating. It's PG-13.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like fuck. Okay, you just have to set your expectations right to enjoy this, and I think if you do that, you'll really like it, and it's something you'll watch every year.
I would give it a 2. I thought when Danny was talking about what he liked about this movie, I mean, he pretty much was saying everything I was feeling, but I just didn't know the words to say. And the only difference is, it would have moved up if there was a little more blood, and a little bit more Krampus.
A little more sass.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked. The only zany thing that really happened, because they kind of played it up in the trailer to be a little bit zany and comedy-ish, and the only comedy that happened was the comment about how dry the food was. So I would have liked, if they're not going to make it more like that, the only comedy that really happened aside from that was the gingerbread men capering
and the
around.
aunt.
Yeah,
she was given the fat kid schnapps, man.
That's true, but if they could have replaced the gingerbread men with more Krampus like showing up and getting his hoof up some ass instead of just or something. I mean, because they do show up and butt fuck the house, but I wanted to see them, butt fuck that house completely. Like, break the wall. Like, go in there and slam the door. Make a mess of the bathroom. Like,
put him in a cage and poke him with a stick.
Well,
Exactly.
I don't know. Like, I think part of it too. I don't know. This is my interpretation of it, and obviously we all have our own opinions. Totally cool, but like, I think that's the point with the Krampus, right? He came for Omi. He remembered Omi from before, and then he came for Max. That's the point. Like, he was there for those 2 people and those 2 people only. And then he let his minions do all the other work. Now, I agree, seeing the Krampus more would have been cool, but I think that was the point behind that, at least.
That's true.
Well, and I think they wanted to not exploit Krampus, and they wanted to build up to him at the end taking Omi. So I think like they didn't want to overuse him. That's why he had his minions. But the only thing is, it's just like, let's see more action.
Diving from roof to roof.
You know you're going to take this whole family and teach this kid a fucking dirty lesson.
I want to see a lesson.
Like,
I don't want to see him just take him.
Yeah, like all at the last minute, just take him. Like terrorize the shit out of these people.
I like my villains to be show-offs and just blatantly crude. Like, you can't just take him down there and be like, fire and brimstone for the rest of your life. I want you to, like, make him be afraid before you haul him off. Like, you know, show up and just do the skin thing. Where you whip them out of their skin where you're still holding their little skeleton.
I don't think Universal would have given him the money to make the movie if you were like, we're gonna show kids getting like their skeletons ripped out and them still watching it while it happens.
Sure, and that's that's an expectation thing. Like, you got to understand that it's a huge feature release. It's PG-13. This isn't your typical B movie fuck picture.
That's too bad.
But I mean, I still enjoyed it. I think it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I'm taking from this too is this pretty much gave him the green light for Trick or Treat 2.
Oh, definitely.
Well, it's gonna be about fucking time.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with Universal with him. So like, Universal and Legendary, working together. They're gonna let him come out with Trick or Treat 2. So he's working on the script for that now. And one thing that I want to call out real quick too is, and this is technically his first full movie release. You got to remember when he did Trick or Treat, he wrote it as 4 separate stories, and originally wanted to do it a la Creepshow. He wanted to do it as an anthology, so it was 4 separate. He wanted to do 4 separate stories with 4 different directors, and he's like, "No, I'm not." After a while, he kind of realized he couldn't do that and that he wasn't going to let anyone mess with his baby. So he intertwined all 4 stories. So he wrote 4 separate stories, which is a lot easier to do than writing one full-length movie. So given that this is his first full-length movie and the fact that it went so well, I'll take that into account rating-wise too.
Yeah, and I'll applaud him because I think he made the right decision directing Trick or Treat and doing and putting all the stories together rather than breaking them up and letting other directors have their fair share. But I think I give him a standing ovation for being able to make Trick or Treat and adapt and make a Hollywood movie and make it for something that kids watch. Because overall, I feel like this is a fucking kids movie. Like, I feel the parents are getting every bang for their goddamn buck, because they can take kids to this because it's PG-13 and scare the shit out of their kids and say, yeah, you better act right or else you're not going to get your fucking Christmas presents. So, like, I don't know. I bet there were things that he wanted to do with this movie that they just simply wouldn't allow. But I think he did a great job, and I'm excited to see Trick or Treat and Trick or Treat 2.
So to wrap this up then, would you guys recommend seeing it in the theater or buying it on DVD or Blu-ray or
Laserdisc?
Like, I got them all on Laserdisc.
No Laserdisc for me, but I think this is one of those movies where you go see it with all your friends in the theater, so you all have a good laugh and you all have a good time, right? Like, I think that's kind of the point behind this movie as far as like the audience perspective. Again, you have your parents that can take your kids, and then you have all of, you can go with your friends, and everyone walks out of there and go, all right, that was fun. I think that's the point. And so I'd see it in theaters, and considering how quickly everything comes out to Redbox and Netflix nowadays, who knows if you'd buy it.
Sure. I think it's a pretty nice release for December.
Yeah.
Because, I think the only other films that you've really had around Christmas time to go see in the theaters would be past few years Quentin Tarantino movies that are fucking ridiculous and gory. But it's nice to see a horror movie in theaters in December.
Yeah, they were smart about it too. Yeah, I mean, think about it. That was it took second place to the Hunger Games, whatever. But
yeah,
it's like it's one of the highest grossing horror movies on opening weekend ever. On top of the fact that it's original horror, and it was sandwiched in between the Hunger Games, James Bond, and then Star Wars coming out. So they put it out like the one weekend they could. Which is also actually, they put it out the day before the actual Krampus festival, which is kind of a cool little twist because that's December 5th every year. But I mean, they put it pretty much in the only weekend they could where they could get as much money as they could, and I thought that played out like for them pretty well.
Yeah, it's working out.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, if you have some sort of idea that is different than ours, let us know, right?
Yeah.
Where can they find us?
Yeah, you can get us on Twitter at BMovie Trash Talk, at Steve Normand, at Trevor Turpin, and Danny, your handle?
I don't have a Twitter handle anymore. I got to get one.
You motherfucker.
I want to bring up another thing really quick.
And you can go to Facebook at facebook.com/BMovie Trash Talk.
Right. Also, visit our website. We have all of our episodes streaming on there. And one thing that we're going to be doing for the holidays that I thought was a good idea, that I actually am just seeing what Trevor thinks now.
Okay.
Is for the month of December, we're going to put up our last year's December episodes if you want to download those.
Yeah.
To go along with another review that we're going to do this month.
Yes.
So there you go. Visit our website. Trevor and Danny are doing pretty things over there.
Yes, we're going to start doing more reviews, written reviews as well.
Yeah, Danny's been writing some reviews. We've got our buddy Alex did a review, right?
Yes.
Got a few things over there.
Yeah, so there's going to be some more of those. But I think, too, we had talked about not only continuing to do B-movies and older movies like you've probably experienced in the past episodes, but also reviewing newer movies that are coming out. So we're going to kind of do a mix. Stuff. Yeah, we're going to do a nice little mix, and you get the opportunity to listen to the episodes of more recent movies, ones that
maybe
didn't
you don't
first
have time
come out
for.
on VHS.
Yep, and maybe you don't have time for them, so we'll do it for you because you might not have time for it. We also have some suggestions that we're going to be reviewing at some point as well.
Indeed. But that's all I got. How about you, Steve?
That's it.
Danny?
Thanks, guys.
Hey, dude, anytime. It's fucking sweet.
Thanks for coming along for the ride, pal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting going forward. Some shenanigans going on here.
Indeed. Well, hit us up on the social media platforms, and till then, you have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Whammy! 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 Whammy!